Apologize in advance. This one could get pretty long, but I like these two guys. I want to hear what they have to say about MMOs. MMOs are a special genre to me. Um, Pretty much like there was a point in my life when I was around 2021. It was when Final Fantasy 11 came out on the PlayStation 2 over here in America. I was living on my own in an apartment. Like I had a girlfriend at the time, but she left. I ended up in this apartment by myself, and I played Final Fantasy 11. It was a good coping mechanism. I met a lot of great people. I actually developed relationships over that game. And met some interesting people, like actual real life relationships that translated outside of the game. But yeah, I met a lot of interesting people in game. It was a great experience, and I hold Final Fantasy 11 very dear to my heart. I did play Final Fantasy 14 for a couple years, and it's a good game. I don't feel like it's a different landscape now. The way MMOs are now, they're way more casual. There's a lot more quality of life. Things were very difficult back then. They were hard to play, and but yeah, I played a bunch of other MMOs. Age of Wushu, I played for a while. I tried Swords of Legend Online, looking for a replacement for Age of Wushu. Um, but yeah, I played a bunch of them. A lot more casually than the Final Fantasies. But it is something that I am constantly considering getting back into, finding a new one. If a new one comes out that feels good enough. So yeah, I just want to see what these guys have to say about MMOs and the state of the genre right now.
That right now the genre is in a bit of a precarious state.
And just heads up, the quality of the video is a little weird because I watch it. I keep them lower for full quality of MMO Byte or Stix, aka Stix's video. I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can hopefully watch that later.
I think cross-platform mobile MMOs are becoming much more prominent. PC MMOs, actually quality PC MMOs, are kind of fading into obscurity a little bit. As someone that is as well versed as yourself in the MMO genre, I was curious where you think we're currently at, like what your thoughts are on the state that we're in typically.
I think I feel like really, I mean, like, and this is what's happening with gaming in general, right? Is that people love graphics. Graphics are important and they matter, and everybody loves good graphics. But the truth is that what matters a lot more than graphics is gameplay, and a lot of like mobile games have like core gameplay loops and actually like fundamentals down in a lot of cases better than these PC games do. So I think it's not really a matter of like PC games being like not popular anymore. I think it's a matter of the PC developers being not very good anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not a big graphics Andy. I don't care about FPS. Like if something's a smooth 30, like people constantly complain about FPS, but like how many people are going to tell me that Bloodborne was a bad game? Like probably nobody. Unless they're fucking crazy or stupid. But no one's gonna tell me Bloodborne was a bad game. I think that games can absolutely excel when they are taking full advantage of like the systems that they're made for, and they know what they're doing, and everything feels fluid and consistent, and it looks like decent. I think stylized graphics absolutely can succeed if the gameplay is fun enough. So,
And also like making a PC MMO that's like the same quality, and they have them, right? There's like PAX Day that's coming out. I'm sure the Riot MMO will probably be PC based, etc. So it's not like they don't exist. It's just that there's so much more of an undertaking that oftentimes, like, just for whatever reason, they're not as good as they could be.
Do you think mobile games are are more of a detriment to the development of MMOs though? Because there are arguably more mobile MMOs that are announced each year. Mobile MMOs typically follow the same formula. They're all kind of just copy and paste.
mobile MMOs are a weird thing, though. It's like MMO light. I don't want to call them an MMO. It's more like an MMO light. They're games with MMO aspects. It's like calling Diablo 4 an MMO. It's a game that has MMO features, but I don't know if I'd call them an MMO because mobile MMOs, quote unquote, specifically, have very small servers and they have this like they fill a server and then start a new server and then fill that server and then they do cross server PvP things and so yeah, the servers feel very small. In actuality, you don't encounter a lot of people. And I wouldn't say they're a detriment to the genre, but I think that like people need to stop considering anything and everything in MMO. Like Destiny, and a lot of people have called Destiny an MMO. It's a game that maybe has MMO features, but it is not an MMO. So I honestly think the detriment is more that way too many games are adopting the MMO ideology and taking that term and determining that their game is an MMO when it's like it's just a multiplayer. It's just any other multiplayer game.
They're, you know, auto path, auto play, flashy looking, but really inferior overall to PC MMOs. And I feel like, I mean, I think I've covered like 12 mobile MMOs announced in the last 6 months. And I think like one PC MMO. So.
Well, it's like they're easier to make, right? Because all you have to do is copy paste. I mean, shit, it makes perfect sense that people are gonna want that, right? I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of normal whenever you think about it. Yeah, sure. Like, I think the reason why a lot of people like those types of MMOs is because they're easy to get into, easy to play, and also like they're easy
to quit. They're easy to just, you know what? I'm done. This was fun for a couple weeks, but I don't give a shit about this. I want to play something else now. It's easy to not become emotionally attached to a mobile game and just throw it in the fucking garbage where it belongs.
To get out of as well. Like a lot of people play those for a small period of time and then just quit them and that's it. So I think that really like the PC MMOs and the mobile MMOs, it doesn't really matter to me like which platform it's on if the game is good. And I think that's really where a lot of people stand, is that if a game is good and it's fulfilling, it's fun to play, they're going to play it. And if it's not, they're not going to play it. Like, they're going to dislike it. Doesn't matter if it's PC or mobile or anything, right? You see that with Genshin Impact, for example, or Honkai Star Rail, is that there's a lot of people that play it on PC, and there's people that play it on mobile as well. And the common denominator is the quality of the game, not necessarily the platform.
Yeah, I agree. I keep saying this, and I will keep saying this until the day that I die if it is never realized. I hope more games adopt the ideology that we can make a game that has scalability to other platforms. Even if we don't bring the full game to mobile, maybe there's like maybe you can do like pet battles. Within like Final Fantasy XIV, they have minion battles. Final Fantasy or WoW, they have pet battles. Like maybe they could figure out a way to get that on mobile, where you log into your account, you have access to all your minions, and they have a mobile version of certain aspects of the game, so you can, you know, grind achievements while you're away on like maybe do crafting on your phone while you're away from the game. I think like scalability and adapting features like this across different platforms would be really intuitive and fun. And interesting, and a lot of people would like that.
Like a lot of these like phones, I mean, fuck, man, I'm pretty sure a phone now has better like processing power than almost a computer did in 2004 whenever WoW came out.
Oh, dude,
so like, yeah, phones are getting way better in general. So I feel like the difference between the two is probably going to become smaller. But the problem is that also like phone MMOs have like they have like a really bad reputation for being like super pay to win.
That's because the majority of mobile MMOs are also they originate from Asia, from Korea, from China, where pay to win is prevalent. But we also run into the issue here where I think PC MMOs, they take what, like 5-10 years to develop. Mobile MMOs are kind of like churn and burn, you know, they're thrown out like every year or every other year.
Copy paste, 100%. Mobile games are just copy paste, stolen assets, stolen shit. They don't care, because the worst case scenario, Like they just toss it out and try again. I made a video about this with the Google security issues with Google Play and iTunes. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. I talk about applications that are basically, like you said, churn and burn. They're copy paste. They put a fake developer. It's all stolen assets and IPs. They have some nefarious accessibility features that try to get into your phone and shit, stealing your financial information, whatever. Yeah, you got to be careful. But mobile games, even the non, the non-nefarious, the less nefarious ones are just out there to grab your money. It's all cash grab.
The investment in terms of money, in terms of developers, it is evident, it is displayed in the quality overall of the game. I think that mobile MMOs are inferior, not because they're mobile MMOs, but because they're just so easy to push out, and there's so little required to successfully launch one. At the same time, and I'm sure you're not aware of the mobile MMOs that are popular in Korea, but there are games like Grand Saga and Odin Valhalla Rising. They both launched to tens of millions of players in their first month. They made hundreds of millions of dollars in their first month and continue to make an average of, I think, 10 to 20 million monthly a year or so after they launched. Both of those games are launching globally. I think Odin mentioned that they're going to be launching in 2023. That was their expectation. After they suffered critical negative feedback from Western players, they decided they were going to remove the autoplay from the game. So there are developers out there that actually seem like they're capable of listening, and Korea and China have this weird...
I don't know why people have to bitch about the autoplay. Just don't use it. It's not as efficient as if you play manually. So just play manually if you want to play manually, and leave the auto for people that like don't want to mindlessly grind stupid shit, and that's what they rely on the auto for.
Preconception that auto mechanics are necessary for gamers, whereas Western players are very different. We don't perceive autoplay the same way, and I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I don't think
yeah, you go ahead.
No, I don't want to keep saying that mobile MMOs are inferior, because I feel like, like when you play mobile games, like you mentioned Genshin, I played a lot of Honkai Star Rail, like Wuthering Waves. I know you got to participate in the beta test for that, right?
Yep, played it.
So there are mobile games overall that carry the potential to be very high quality games, but I just feel like for some reason, for whatever reason, mobile MMOs specifically are just not living up to what the platform carries the potential to live up to, and therefore it carries this weird misconception that mobile MMOs are crap. The people are like, ew, it's a mobile MMO.
Well, that's the issue, right? Is like when every single mobile MMO that comes out is pay to win garbage, then people are going to assume that mobile MMOs are pay to win garbage, right? That's just what happens, and I think that's what's happened with like that's people's expectation. Because I've told people before, like, I don't care if the game's a mobile MMO or not. Like, if it's fun to play, I'll play it. But the issue is that there are very few games in that category. Like, there's just a lot of them that are all pay to win, and that's it.
It's not even MMOs exclusively. It's just mobile games in general it's become perfectly normalized and acceptable for people for some stupid reason that mobile games are just pay to win, because that's how mobile games are. I fucking hate that phrase. Like, they are only that way because people have supported it, because people have dumped hundreds of millions of dollars, as he said, within a month into games like this, So
I don't even really think that autoplay is a big issue personally. Like, I don't think that's the reason why people don't like them. I don't think that even really has to do with it hardly at all. I think the real problem is that just straight up, the games aren't very good. The gameplay loops aren't that great, and that's really the main reason. Like, Honkai Star Rail has autoplay. A lot of people...
Sometimes, but no, sometimes there are people that are just annoyingly anti-autoplay for no fucking reason. Like, they just can't turn it off. Well, if it's there, I'm gonna use it. But like, so basically their inability to control their actions is the reason for complaining against it.
Play that. So it's popular in the West, I would say. I mean, to an extent, right? It's probably not as popular as Genshin, but or like a lot of other Western-focused games, but it is still, doing well. And I think that really the issue is that the gameplay loops are just bad. The gameplay is bad. It's boring. And a lot of it is like very repetitive, or it's the same thing that people have seen 100 times before. So
Yeah, a lot of them are copy paste, very similar to other games. They have these very aggressive stamina mechanics that make it so you can't play certain aspects of the game for very long periods in general. So you're just stuck doing like mindless shit or nothing.
like, why would somebody want to go and play this game whenever they've effectively, like what you said about being copy paste, like they've already played this game before? So it's like, what are they doing? Like, why would they do that? Doesn't make sense.
And just a quick aside, did you know that Honkai Star Rail actually made roughly, as of this month, about 550 to 600 million dollars since launch?
I didn't know it was that. I saw that it made 100 million after the first month, or it was like something fucking crazy like that. I'm pretty sure after they release Kafka, it's gonna be a lot more. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, I think the game is good, and so like I feel like I'll use a lot of these games that are out now, and I'll use.
MiHoYo's smart though. Like putting your game out for free on every platform is just like it's brilliant. I can't stress this enough that like more like giving access to more people easier enables like it gives you the opportunity to have more people spend money. You know what I mean? Like if you have 1 million people playing your game, you only have the potential of taking money from 1 million people. But if you have 50 million people playing your game, it's like basic math. I don't understand how more people don't understand this simple logic.
Use them as examples, and I think the reason why is that like if these games are doing well on their own, I don't think that it's necessarily the type of game, it's the quality of the game. And that's, I think, the biggest issue. It's the same thing with MMOs. For the longest time it was really just World of Warcraft, right? But then Final Fantasy 14 started coming out and doing well, and
Final Fantasy 11, he doesn't give Final Fantasy 11 enough credit where it's due. Like I get it. It was it was a little bit ahead of its time, but ahead of his time, not by much though. Like WoW came out lot long after it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like a lot of people that I know went to WoW came back to Final Fantasy 11 because they were like, WoW sucks. So I mean, yeah, like, but yeah, Final Fantasy in general, I'll give him that. Final Fantasy in general and WoW.
now there's a much bigger space for MMOs, and you see other ones releasing, whether it's something like New World, something like Lost Ark, etc., coming out in the West. And for a while, I mean, for actually quite a while, Lost Ark did well, until they pretty much just completely dropped the ball.
I mean, we don't want to say killed, but
Oh, I mean, they're killing the game in Korea too, so it's nothing special for us.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, they've had to do like 3 different emergency live streams to explain why the game is garbage. It's been really fun staying up until 5 a.m. watching them.
I bet. I remember just last year they were noting how they were having they were hitting concurrency records for active players online at any given time. It's interesting to see and hear that that's no longer the case.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. Like, cause the thing is, to me, like, I played Lost Ark really seriously whenever it came out. Like, I have like 1,300 hours or something like that logged into the game, and this is like after quitting for 6 months.
1,300 hours and how many dollary dues on rolling that gear? Jesus, a lot. I'm gonna say probably at least 1,300 dollary dues too on rolls. I can't speak much on Lost Ark, but that inherently was the problem. I hear a lot about it's pay to win. It's not worth playing free to play unless you want to play 16 characters or whatever, and I don't want to do that. I hear Asmon and other Lost Ark players talking a lot about like if they could make things more account wide, like you can farm like if 8 characters worth of something in a run instead of having to do this dungeon across 8 characters or something. Like if they started implementing more account-wide features like that, where you got the reward growth of 8 characters without having to play them, I might consider playing Lost Ark. But it's like I don't know if it's worth my time to get into something that is going to be very difficult to get into, because they talk about the cards being hard to catch up on and all sorts of stuff. The game looks massive. There's a lot of systems to learn. You know what I mean? Like, if people are telling me it's not worth my time, then it's not worth my time.
So I played the game a lot, and I feel like a lot of the things that like I complained about and a lot of other Western players complained about, it's like, okay, now we're seeing everybody else pick it up and see that kind of for what it is. But you're right, it's definitely like a cultural thing, because places like Korea, I think specifically, they don't have the same outlook on like these like pay to win games, and I think that definitely there's like a lot of culture clash there.
What about gacha in MMOs? That's becoming much more prevalent as time goes on. We're seeing this exhibited in like Tower of Fantasy. We're seeing it in Odin Valhalla Rising and Grand Saga, which I mentioned both of just earlier. They're all, and even with Blue Protocol, which is a PC console MMO, that's not even mobile. So gacha is actually emerging into non-mobile games as well. And a lot of people are very strongly of the opinion that gacha shouldn't, well, a lot is probably inaccurate, but there are people that believe that gacha shouldn't exist in MMOs. I feel like it is definitely becoming more popular as the gacha business model has kind of reshaped and redefined gaming, because we're seeing more and more games implement gacha mechanics.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like MMOs are limited in how much they can make, so they are, they're no doubt gonna hop on board the gacha train. That's important, because I mean, like, I'm not gonna fault a company for trying to make as much money as they can.
It makes a lot of fucking money, dude. That's why they do it. I mean, it's not like it's a secret, right? And like we're talking about like MMOs, dude. Like, what about FIFA? Like, what is the FIFA Ultimate Teams? It's basically fucking gacha. Like, it's you're doing spins. You might get the good character, but you're probably gonna get the bad one. You're gonna get Ronaldo? No, you're gonna get some character that nobody knows their fucking name. And that's just the way that these games work. And why is it happening? Because it makes a lot of money. That's really why. And also, it's because players might complain, and they might, like, somebody does like a 30-minute YouTube essay about why gacha games are bad, and then everybody is complaining, like, they tab out of their autoplay gacha game to complain about how bad gacha games are, right? What the fuck are you doing? So I think that's the case with a lot of people, is that they complain about these things, but there aren't enough people out there that actually like they act on this thinking, and they actually do things differently.
Right, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, there's not enough people that are willing to disengage with the gacha mechanics or to stop paying for stupid things. It's ridiculous. And like, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's sunk cost fallacy. I don't know if it's mental illness, but I look at like some gacha games with very small niche communities of people that pump in like, oh, you got to get your dollar per day sale. You got to get this weekly bundle and stuff. And it's like, what are you fucking doing? This game is just milking you fucking morons for nickels and dimes. Like, when it's a dying game. Like, just let it go. Stop. And they'll sit there and complain about it, too. Oh, the rates in this game are so... the rates in the game are shit. The bundles in the game are shit. Oh, the rewards they give us are shit. The game is dying. They don't give us enough content. They'll sit there and the bitch about that shit all day, every day. And they're the same people that are pumping in the $1 a day. And, like, you have a fucking problem. You need to stop that shit. And they're also the same people that'll be like, "Oh, let people spend whatever they want. You're just saying you're saying that shit because you're mad because you're poor and stuff." It's like, no, because I want games to stop being like this. That's why I'm saying that. I want games to stop being like this. I was a fucking idiot that used to spend all my money on mobile games and dumb shit too. But I want games to stop being like this. And what Stix said, I don't think that MMOs are necessarily like incapable of monetization. I just think they're bad at it. They're fucking stupid. Like, nobody wants to pay for a game, subscribe to the game, and then have all these microtransactions thrown in their face. Make the game free and then throw all the microtransactions in my face. I don't care. Like, if I didn't pay for the game, I have no reason to complain about you throwing microtransaction in my face. And if I buy them, that's on me. Plenty of people do that shit. I think that's the problem with some of these MMOs. Like, the best ones, literally, Final Fantasy and WoW, are box priced, subscription, microtransaction hell. Like, fuck them. If they're not willing to adapt, then you know what I mean. Like, they don't deserve to make $100 million like Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail, which is free on every fucking platform.
They actually stop playing these games. They actually, like, boycott a game. And like, you saw that, for example, with like the Diablo 4 season just came out, and everybody was like noticing. They said, well, all these people saying that they were going to quit the game, well, where the fuck are they? How are they quitting the game if the game has like server queues again? Right? So it's like everybody always talks about like what they're going to do, and then it never really happens. And I think that's the case with a lot of these things.
And at the same time, typically it's the vocal minority that are the ones that are complaining about this thing, things trying to blow it up.
Yeah, it's like, again, like, I don't think that people realize, like, I hate this too, by the way. I fucking hate this, but you can't deny reality. Like, all you have to do is look at the amount of money that these games make, look at the amount of people that play them, and it's pretty evident that a lot of people that are focused on these games don't give a fuck about these problems. And I think that another reason for that is that, like, you want to know one thing that's pay to win is real life. Real life is fucking pay to win. And so the more that games become a open medium that a lot of just like random people are playing, the more people will be okay with pay to win, because real life has pay to win in it. So they're not going to view it as something that's like a...
I just got so distracted by this character in the background with this burger and fries and beer. Like, I don't give a shit about beer. It could be root beer for all I care. But that burger and the fries, like, look so good.
This is not some sort of like bad thing. This is just how it is. And I think that's happening a lot.
It is. And as you noted,
She's only a 4-star though, so she's probably trash.
A lot of people are kind of oblivious to the issues that are transpiring in games. People post on social media, Twitter, Reddit. You get threads that have hundreds of comments, maybe thousands of upvotes. You have people talking on Discord about these topics, but then they're talking about these topics amongst maybe a couple hundred to a couple thousand people, when the games themselves have millions, if not tens of millions of players that are just like engrossed and enthralled in the game that they're playing, completely disconnected from any drama that's associated with it outside of their own little bubble.
Yeah. Well, these are people, like, I use the example with Diablo 4. These are people that learned about Diablo 4 from a commercial on TV in between a football game. They don't, they're not going on Reddit to read somebody's fucking essay about why Blizzard needs to change. Like, they don't give a fuck. They play it with their wife a couple hours on the weekend. They're not going to care about this issue at all. And there's no way that
there are casuals that play Diablo Immortal over Diablo 4 because it's easier to play and just to get in and out of and get down. There's less buttons. Like, unironically, like, casuals, man, like, yeah, casuals do not give a fuck about what's broken or what. They don't even notice something that's broken. Like, they die, they move on, and that's it. They just get on with their life, they try again, they change characters, they stop playing the game, and forget about it. They don't go on to Reddit, they don't go on to Twitter, they don't go on the forums and start fucking writing 16-page essays like we do. You know what I mean?
You can even reach these people. It's not like, well, maybe, we can kind of like all get together and help them understand. No, they don't want to understand. They do this to relax, and I feel like it's impossible to reach those people just by the definition of like what kind of people they are. And it's like, it's also not an insult. I mean, these are people that have, successful, productive lives, oftentimes more so than the people that are complaining about the games. But the truth is that they don't really give a shit about these problems. And I think that it's naive to expect everybody that's in the gaming space to have the same mindset on it. Like, I do think that obviously like gaming and like having gambling systems in gaming is like very bad, and it would be great if there was regulation on it.
Yeah, that's like the biggest problem there. Like every game is going to just every game is going to start adopting these mechanics and gacha and stuff if there's no regulations that are ever added to them.
Because I don't find it to be like, I don't think that there's ever like, I don't think that you should ever be able to buy something in a video game and not know what you're gonna get. Like, it just seems like it's gambling, right? It's gambling. And so like I would like if there was regulation on that.
Gambling with no result where you come out a winner, because you only ever put money out, money does not come back into you. So it's like, yeah, it's just like throwing money in a fire.
Especially because a lot of these games that have loot boxes are marketed towards like literal children. Like, there's a lot of kids that play Genshin Impact, for example, or play Honkai Star Rail, and you know, you have those people that are, you know, like little kids that are, you know, effectively just being, you know, like made to gamble. I mean, I don't know.
Again, go back and watch my video about Google and iTunes and the early access games that are essentially fake apps. They're completely copy pasted, ripped off using stolen assets. They're literally just designed to steal your personal info and steal your credit info when your kids download them, because they're Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, they're all like the most popular anime skins, like reskin AFK Arena, games like that, reskinned with popular anime themes, and they're labeled as early access, and your kids will just download them unknowingly, log in, probably link your Google or whatever account, link your email. Who knows what nonsense they're going to end up putting into there. Maybe even your credit card, and then next thing you know, yeah, your credit card's on a list with 15,000 other credit card numbers, and it's being sold to scammers.
I don't think that's necessarily good for anybody except for the companies.
Right. Let me use as an example here Blue Protocol. Yeah. Since you mentioned the whole gambling without knowing what you're necessarily going to get in terms of reward here. So Blue Protocol, and I'm sure someone in the comment section is going to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the last time that I read about the gacha in Blue Protocol, there was one specific part of it concerning the outfits. The outfits are supposed to be RNG, and the chance of obtaining the outfits is, or not the chance of obtaining outfits, to obtain the outfits, you could potentially invest thousands of dollars because there is no definitive way of obtaining them. Typically in gacha games with regards to pity, you hit like 90 and then you know, you're guaranteed like a 50-50 chance, or it
sounds like heirlooms in Apex Legends.
Carries over to the next pity, and then like at 180 you're guaranteed a 100% chance of obtaining a, you know, a waifu or an outfit or something. So in Blue Protocol, with this one specific type of gacha, there is no pity, so you are not guaranteed the outfit that you were trying to pay or that you were paying for. So you could invest thousands of dollars into obtaining this outfit and still not obtain it. I would personally, like, I'm of the opinion that I would rather spend $100 to obtain a character, $200 to obtain a character with 100% certainty, or an outfit or a class, rather than investing potentially hundreds into it without the chance of ever actually obtaining it. I think it's unfair to present something that you could potentially get and then go on and spend thousands of dollars and never get.
I think that there's no upside to the consumer to buy something and not have any certainty of what you're buying. Like, I don't feel like there's any benefit.
Yeah, this is absolutely where like regulations need to be in place. Like, if a game wants to sell a $10,000 hat, and somebody out there wants to spend $10,000 on that hat because they can, and that's like a status symbol for them, sell the $10,000 hat. I want to see the motherfucker that buys it. I want to run around and laugh at him, you know, /laugh/point, I'm gonna do that stuff. I want to make fun of that motherfucker in game. Let's go, please. But don't put a gambling aspect to it. Don't make it that somebody thinks they're gonna get a hat and then $1,000 later they get the hat. Just sell them the fucking hat for $1,000 and let's go. Let's see who pops off. Let's see who starts buying that shit. There is a show that I highly recommend, but it's on Apple TV, so it's like, ugh. It's called Mythic Quest. It's by Rob McElhenney. He is one of the creators of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He basically plays Ian from Blizzard, like a producer or whatever of MMO. And there's a guy in the show that like does that. His thing is monetization, and he just like sells like fucking $50,000 axes and shit like that, and they're just like, whatever, just go for it. You know what I mean? Like, as if somebody's gonna buy that shit, let them buy that shit. And if no one buys that shit, who cares? People are gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, a $50,000 axe. But yeah, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. Some fucking retards out there are gonna buy that shit.
Benefit for me as a player that exists. It doesn't make my experience better. It doesn't really make anything better. It's just done to make more money. And like in general, I wish that there were two rules with these types of games. Number one, you can never spend money in the game and not know exactly what you're gonna get. And number two, you can never have a premium currency. Like, I think premium currencies are just pure obfuscation.
Yeah, I agree with that too. They're annoying. They're annoying. The only time I think a premium currency is acceptable if there's ways to get the currency for free. Like by long periods of playtime, by doing like a daily quest or something. I don't know, I don't care. But I don't like when what he's basically going to say is like when they sell you something for $10 and they give you like what 990 of the currency, but you need 1,000 to do the thing. So then you have to spend another $5 to get another 100 points or whatever of premium currency. That shit is bullshit.
They just make it harder for people to understand how much money they're spending. And again, they serve no functional benefit for the customer. And I think that they actively make it harder for the customer to understand what they're buying. And it's done so intentionally. And I just think that why does this exist?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't. By the way, I don't think any of this stuff's
it's just to try to cheat people out of money here and there, to catch people off guard. It's like signing up for something for a free trial and with your credit card, and then they start charging you at the end of the month, like you have to manually go cancel it. I fucking hate those things, but it's the same logic, it's the same concept, and manipulation tactics.
ever going to change. Like, the people that I don't know. I think you live in Canada, right?
Me? No, I live in North Carolina.
Okay. So yeah, you know that like all the people that work at our government don't know what a computer is. So like this is never going to change, right? It's just never going to change. But it is annoying, and it would be nice if it did, although it never will.
Yeah, they're trying to enforce it, but I mean, it's not gonna. It doesn't matter. Like people are continuing to support this anyway, and things are.
At this point, I think our government's more than likely to embrace it and start putting regulations in place for the companies that they have to do this stuff and pay out the government. Just pay more taxes.
Continuing to get worse and worse.
Oh yeah, I mean things will just keep getting worse, and people like. There are going to be more and more games that are like this. I think that more games are going to become pay to win because gaming has become more and more mainstream. And the more mainstream gaming gets, the more people it's going to attract that are, just neutral towards pay to win or not really as interested in caring about it.
Plus,
and it's like,
sorry, go on.
No, that's fine.
Plus, pay to win is also kind of subjective. Pay to win is.
I don't know how long they're going to go on. I don't want to make this video too much longer. It's already 40 minutes. So I want to see if they say any more interesting things about the state of MMOs before I go off on a little tangent.
is really only going to affect people that are playing either competitively or that are playing with other players. So with regards to multiplayer, pay to win isn't really necessarily going to affect people that are playing by themselves. Like in Genshin Impact, right? People claim it's pay to win to be able to roll for characters and weapons, when the reality is it doesn't matter if you have, like, you know, the highest upgraded.
Yeah, it's pay to win, but like, who's really the only one winning is MiHoYo or whatever the name is. That's it. Like, you're not winning. You're certainly not winning paying all this money to play the game when other people can play just the same amount of content for free. The only pay to win is a fallacy. It is fake. It is not real. It is a misconception. You think you may be paying and winning, but you're not. The developers are winning. The publishers are winning. You are losing. You are only losing.
Husbandos or waifus with the best weapons or anything, because 99% of the game you're going to be playing by yourself. The 1% you're playing multiplayer is to just do like some boss fights or maybe an event or something where overall your power, your characters are going to have absolutely no impact. So the whole pay to win thing affecting you is also entirely subjective, I think.
Well, Genshin Impact is you have like resin, right? That's in Genshin
Stamina,
Impact, and
yeah.
so, stamina. And can you pay money to increase the stamina?
I think there's a limit, and I think this is actually common in gacha games, but there's a limit to how many you can, like how many times you can top up per day.
But it's still more than a casual player is going to top up, because they're going to be using every bit of gems or free currency they get on spins. They're not going to be doing a whole lot of stamina refreshes. So, like, by that nature, it's still pay to win because they're paying money and progressing further faster.
Right, yeah, like Honkai Star Rail is 8 times a day.
Yeah.
I think that Lost Ark, I think, is 3 or 4 for Una's tasks. And yeah, no, I understand. But do you think that system would exist if it wasn't pay to win?
I think that it provides people an additional means with which to spend money. I think that they're presenting these situations where players know they can spend money and they know that they can get an advantage by paying, so they do. And it's a psychological way of forcing us to spend more than we would normally be willing to spend, especially because it's so cheap. It's like, you know, you spend like $1 or $2 and you can top up numerous times. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, games are designed, and this is like so like how much of Lost Ark did you play?
I played the Russian version.
I feel like he's trying to talk around it not being pay to win, but it's absolutely pay to win. And Asmon's trying to steer him into realizing that recharging your stamina and getting further faster is like the definition of paying to win.
For probably about 200 hours.
Okay, so you remember like the Una's tasks, the upgrades, like all the different types of like little ways that you could spend money, like Mary's shop, all that stuff, like life skill experience. Yeah. Well, anyway, like my argument for the game has always been that pay to win is simultaneously the main reason, and it also has nothing to do with why the game has problems. Because pay to win, you're right, that pay to win does not directly affect players in the way that, oh wow, this guy has better gear than me, I'm losing, I'm a failure now. Now, I think that there is an element of that, right? Because you're trying to join raid groups and they're going to invite people that have higher item level, and so if you pay to win, you have higher item level, you might get invited more. Sure. But the other issue is that the game systems and the game design is made in a way to funnel people into feeling compelled to use those pay to win systems. And I think that that's really what the issue is with having pay to win. And I can understand and appreciate people saying that it doesn't affect them, but just because it doesn't affect them and their competitive nature of the game and that they're not competitive, that's totally fine. But the game, like the fundamental DNA of the game, is altered in a way to make the game reward you for paying to win. Because if it didn't, then they wouldn't be able to make any money and the game wouldn't be profitable and it wouldn't exist. So the issue is that, like, for example, like chaos dungeons, why do you have to do 2 chaos dungeons every day in Lost Ark? Why do you have to do 2 guardian raids every day in Lost Ark? Why do you have to do do the awakenings for cards to upgrade them to Light of Salvation 30? Well, the reason why is because there's a pay-to-win system that exists that if you use it, it will accelerate this process. You compare this with something like Elden Ring. How long does it take to get, even one of the very rare items in a game? Not very long at all. Maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then you're done for the entire game. So you compare the different types of games, and if you look at the time frame of like how long it takes to get each thing, like if Halls of Torment, Vampire Survivors is all the same thing. Games that don't have pay-to-win systems oftentimes don't have these massive longitudinal grinds because they don't need to, because the players already paid the money. Those longitudinal massive grinds usually exist in order to incentivize people to pay money to skip them.
And these games also create a lot more depth, and they keep people in the game by having a lot of replayability. Like playing like Elden Ring, you may experience different things when you play again because you take a different path, you interact with different NPCs, or you play a completely different build. It's like each time you run through Vampire Survivors, you may take different skills, and you may get different skills as you play through, or you may try out different things to try to unlock the different achievements and stuff like that. And this is a fundamental problem that I think that Diablo 4 has, that it has all these classes that you have access to play and try to experience, but the grind to level up is so fucking arduous and slow and shitty that, like, most people are probably only going to play one build every season, and I think that negatively impacts Diablo's design. I feel like they could be a lot more easygoing, a lot more generous with the amount of experience and rewards they give to each individual character, so people are more incentivized to be like, all right, cool, I had a lot of fun, I leveled my Necromancer to 100, I want to try a Barbarian now. They just buffed Sorcerer, I want to try Sorcerer now. But instead, like, they're buffing Barbarian and Sorcerer tomorrow, I'm still leveling my Necromancer. I still am not done my Necromancer because I haven't got all the gear I want yet. I have not leveled up to max yet. It's taking too long and I'm getting bored. That's a problem that needs to be solved. Games need a solid replayability cycle. It doesn't matter if it takes that long to get there, as long as there's a lot of reasons to keep replaying and replaying and replaying. Like in Elden Ring or Bloodborne, Dark Souls, any of that, New Game Plus. It may be a good incentive for you to want to try again. You want to go through all the New Game Pluses.
That applies to, I feel, gacha and mobile games as well, because typically,
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I know you played Tower Fantasy at launch. I know, and this has
changed.
I played
it a lot.
This has changed since launch. This is no longer current, but back at
launch,
there were those.
I too played Tower Fantasy. Is on my desktop right over here. Honkai, Genshin, CIA, Vampire Survivors, Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 11's hidden in that POL. We got Diablo Immortal. I put myself through that misery. Diablo 4. Yeah, I get around. I don't have all my Steam games on the thing here, but like I said, I consider Lost Ark. If they make some promising changes, I might try it.
Little ball.
And I would play WoW if it was free, but their free trial sucks, so I don't really want to try it.
And like chests and stuff, and even the story was time gated.
Yeah.
There are like aspects of the game that are always cut off and disconnected from players, where you either have to pay to access, pay to get stronger, so you can actually surpass the limitations that are being imposed on you. There's typically in gacha mobile games, there are just all these weird mechanics that incentivize you paying to actually either participate.
I also don't want to pay to play a 20-year-old MMO that the fan base is constantly complaining about. Like, there's no incentive there. I think that these old MMOs need to go free to play and just need to consider, like, just like minor graphical, taking a period to do graphical updates, launcher updates, make the transition into getting in the game easier. UI, minor graphical updates, UI updates to make everything look cleaner, add some quality of life, make the game free to play, and remove the sub, and then microtransactions, outfits, stuff like that. People love outfits and stuff like that, utility items, whatever.
Participate in, consume, or progress beyond. So I feel like it's kind of a similar thing that is present in gacha and mobile games as well.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And it's basically the game starts you with like 10 ankle weights, and you have to pay money to take each one of them off every day. Like, that's basically what happens. And like, again, I don't like this type of gameplay, but the problem is that there is an unironic, I hate using the term, but it seems to be true, a silent majority of people that fucking spend the money. Like, look at Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal made like $100 million in like a small period of time. And like, Diablo Immortal doesn't have any waifus, it doesn't have any anime girls. Imagine if it did, it would have made way more money. So, like, if they're...
I hate to say it, but I live with someone that has spent a lot of money on Diablo Immortal. I mean, it's his choice, his money. I'm not going to... I'm not going to hate on him for it, but at the same time, like I said, as a former spender of on mobile games, it's fucking stupid. I recognize that, and I cut myself off. If other people have the money to spend and they're willing, like I said, if somebody wants to buy a $50,000 hat, let somebody buy a $50,000 hat. Who cares? It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect me. Let the company make the money so they can put out more content. But as long as that person knows I'm spending $50,000 and I'm getting this hat and that's it. Not $50,000 for a chance to get a hat. I'm spending this money on that hat.
doing that well with Diablo Immortal and these other games are this successful, I think that it's only a matter of time until, more companies do what EA does and they add some sort of seasonal bullshit mechanic in order to keep people involved with, their systems, right? Like the ultimate team. I think that's basically what I'm talking about with FIFA. It's going to become more and more common because like players just simply, I've said before, every gamer boycott is only 1 3-minute cinematic away from being over. And I think that's really the truth. Most players do not actually care about the things they're boycotting. They just want to be entertained. And if the game is entertaining at that exact second, they will play it. And if it's not, they won't play it. It's that simple. There's there's no ethics or logic to it at all. And I'm sure that there are going to be people in the comments that will say, oh, well, I'm different, but that's nice. But, the numbers certainly paint a very different picture.
Well, they always
It's true, and there's also a lot of people there, out there, that they don't know why they're mad. They're just mad for the sake of being mad, and they don't have a good reason for it. There's a lot of people that will complain about, oh, pay to win is ruining this game, when, really the pay to win is not ruining the game. It's something else completely different. The game is massive bugs. The game is massive accessibility issues that are being overlooked because they're like, pay to win, oh, I hate it. It's bullshit. I'm no, the game, you don't have to interact with that stuff. You don't have to care. But if you want to complain about this resin, resin being a massive problem and making the game difficult to play and enjoy, then yes, this is a valid complaint. Complaining about the rates, complaining about resin or stamina systems, yeah, that stuff, complaining about bugs, complaining about broken characters or stats, these are all valid complaints. But complaining about pay to win when that's not the majority problem, it's fucking stupid. What are we doing?
People always very ardently defend their own narrative anyway, because it fits their belief that
what makes them that's not what they believe, right? They don't like that, they don't agree with it, and I completely respect that. I think everybody should, it's if you feel like there's something that's problematic or fucked up or something like that, you should make a decision that is in line with what you believe. But the thing is that you just can't expect everybody else to believe the same thing. I think that that's what's happened in so many of these cases, is that you just see so many of these games that are doing incredibly well despite them being absolutely malicious and predatory.
Yeah, and seeing Diablo Immortal.
This is why, a lot of the times when I say, here are my problems with Diablo 4, I try to say, this is from a necromancer perspective, a minion necromancer perspective. Because I don't want to say that my problems will exist for a barbarian or a druid, because I don't know. You know what I mean? When I say that the story sucked, I made sure to explain why I think Diablo 4's story sucked, because of the way that I felt like I was forced to interact with the game, and I transitioned through all the chapters. It was a very weird experience. It felt very disconnected, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I could. The story felt anticlimactic, but that might have only been an experience that I encountered because of the way I play the game. So I made sure to explain that the story was bad for me and why it felt bad, but that could not be, a majority of users could have not had that same experience. So it could have been a personal problem.
Will continue to pull in $8 to $12 million each month just globally. If you include China, it's pulling in, I think, 20 to 25 million a month still.
And you think about it, right? Because obviously somebody could go and say, oh, well, Diablo 4 made more money in 5 days. You're totally right. But how much money did it take to make Diablo 4 versus how much money does it take to make some bullshit like Diablo Immortal? I guarantee you Diablo Immortal probably cost a whole lot less, and the upkeep on Diablo Immortal probably cost a whole lot less as well.
Also, Diablo Immortal is basically a reskin of other already established ARPGs on mobile. It's the same systems I think they had in one of their other games.
Not just that, it was also that much quicker to roll out, so then the budget necessary to actually develop the game was probably exponentially less.
Oh yeah, of course. And I just think that people, I don't really know how gamers can do anything about this. I don't really think that there is a way that people can kind of protest these types of issues, except for just acting in their own, just act in your own best interest, do whatever you feel like is the right decision, and just try not to expect anybody else to do the same thing, or you're gonna lose your fucking mind.
Stop making people feel bad because they're free to play or because they want to speak out against pay to win. If you enjoy spending money on the game and you can do that, by all means. You don't have to feel bad for it. And most people aren't necessarily saying you're bad for it, but it is bad. Can we be honest that it's bad? And I feel like this problem is pretty much equal to the tipping problem. People saying, oh, you have to tip, or bullying people for not tipping. If you can't afford to tip, you shouldn't go out to eat. Fuck off. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, people should be able to go out to eat, whether they can tip or not. It should not be my responsibility to supplement the income that the employer is failing to pay that employee. And it should not be my problem to supplement the profitability that a game is not making because everyone out there is promoting free to play instead of pay to play. So can we stop bullying people into thinking they have to spend money to be like, or they're like, oh, you're just a broke bitch, like, stop treating free to play like they're the assholes here. Like, maybe they just are trying to actively boycott this stuff. Maybe they're not broke. You know what I mean? I hate that stuff. It's so fucking annoying. But yeah, like the whole tipping thing, the whole free to play over pay to win thing, like, can we stop fighting each other and fight against these like stupid practices, please?
That's what I think. But yeah, I do think that we're going to enter into like, and I think that we already are. You're seeing tons of other games like Throne and Liberty, right? This game also has different like pay to win features, etc. And let's see, Blue Protocol has the Imagines that are the pay to win in that game. Like obviously you have things like World of Warcraft where you can just simply buy gold, and it's like a game that has it's like the fucking the Morpheus meme for in the Matrix where it's like the red pill and the blue pill. It's like gotcha or pay to win, and it's like the funny fucking thing now is they're just feeding you both of them, right? It's the same pill.
Oh yeah, they're
The good old purple pill. All right, I'm going to watch the rest of this off video because I am interested in what they have to say, but I don't want to make this too much longer. So I'm just going to say what I have to say about the state of MMO RPGs as I feel right now. In all honesty, I don't necessarily think the genre is dying. Like I said before, I think it's just getting too diluted. Too many games are adopting MMO aspects and calling themselves MMOs when they're not necessarily an MMO. When I think of an MMO, I think of massive multiplayer online. I think of 30 people on the screen. I don't think about 30 people per server. I don't think about a game like Destiny where it's like 8 people per instance in the open world. That is not an MMO to me. Yeah, you can go to town, maybe you can interact with 30 people in a town, but again, 30 people in one place? No. Like, I want to see upwards of 50, 100 people. So many people that the game has to call people out. That's an MMO. They're all on the same server, whatever. But that's an MMO to me, and I think some of these games need to adopt the new terminology, maybe MMO light. I don't know. As for MMOs in general, I think they need to stop with the subscription model. The subscription model is very difficult for a lot of people to interact with. It's just too much. It comes out to too much money over time. If you want to have a box price and then microtransactions, that's fine. But I don't think you should have box price, a sub, and microtransactions. If you are a free game that has a free trial for 1 month and then a subscription fee with microtransactions, I think that's probably fine too. Microtransactions don't necessarily have to be interacted with, especially if they're purely cosmetic. So I think games just need to be better about how they're monetizing. Stop feeling so inaccessible and predatory. Like I said before, maybe have quality of life and scalability features where you can do some of the monotonous tasks like crafting, pet battles, some of like the smaller scale content that you can do on a mobile device or on a console, or, while you're away from home, whatever. And then on your PC, you could do a lot of more in-depth grinding, raids, dungeons. You can do everything on the PC, but maybe scale some things down to be able to do on other devices as well. I think that would be a very interesting quality of life that future MMOs take. But yeah, and I think just like having more access to more information in games is important too. The more that a player has to interact with third-party websites to enjoy your game or to learn about your game, I think is worse. And MMOs have a huge problem with this. You're constantly needing to look up quests and stuff online because some of the things are it's just hard to figure out. Newer MMOs are getting better about this. Some of the older ones, didn't really have that at all. You pretty much had to find everything. So I think as time goes, the genre is actually improving and getting better. The thing is that people are less willing to devote as much time to one game. Not a lot of games are coming out that really feel worth giving your life to anymore. And maybe they never were worth giving your life to, who knows? All I can tell you is I hope that an MMO does come out that does recapture the feeling of like playing FF11 for the first time, or playing any MMO for the first time with a large group of people when it first comes out. But I feel like some games, as Asmon said with the graphics, they're looking too far ahead of themselves and trying to become too graphically overcooked instead of focusing on longer in-depth gameplay and more fun gameplay cycles. So hopefully MMO developers do look into maybe having a more stylized approach, like some of these anime MMOs are, but not having the annoying predatory gotcha mechanics and having the, fun gameplay loops that some of the older MMOs that we enjoyed have instead. And keep people in the game that way instead of, whatever stupid ways they are nowadays. But, yeah, that's about it. I'm going to cut this off because it's been an hour now. No one's probably going to watch this, so, yeah, but MMOs are cool. I hope a new one comes out that we can all enjoy together. But I'll be on the lookout. And yeah, check these guys out. They're both cool creators. Peace.